Why does she want space? What is she running away from? This is a question that guys ask us every single day. And we're going to dive into four potentials, four possibles of why this is. And we're going to discuss this today here on the C Note Show. Cynthia and I are here to teach how to love and lead with mojo like a king in your relationship, because she wants safety and inspiration and sexual leadership. But most of us don't know how to do that, or we don't even know that that's there. We run our life and our sexual life on autopilot, often focusing on work, just keeping everything together, keeping the house from falling apart, paying bills. And we fall off the list. And the frame of how we build intimacy seems to fall off the list as well. Or maybe we're not even aware of it, that love is a verb, right? Love is an action, and how to do that. But Cynthia and I focus on, all right, how do we bring a relationship back from the brink? And what's most important for you as a man is saving yourself. And if you don't save yourself, if you don't learn who you are, your values, what your boundaries are, what's important to you, like you probably knew before you met your woman, if you don't focus on those things, then the marriage does not have a shot. And you may not want to get back together with her, even once you've done this work. That's a fearful thing the guys talk with us about as well. Why does she want space? What is she running away from? So I didn't prep Cynthia with these four ideas, these four reasons. In fact, I found these out on Quora. I just did a search and I wanted to see what are some of the common things that I see. Okay. What are some of the common responses to this? And let's talk about these right now. I'll ask Cynthia about these because we're here with her today on this call. So number one, some idea around she wants time to take care of herself or refocus on work and friends and hobbies without distraction. So she wants to, I want to ask you, what comes up for you in your professional experience here? How much of these answers may be true? How much of these may be a smokescreen potentially, or just something that's kind of nice to hear, right? So she wants time to take care of herself, refocus on work, friends, hobbies, without the distraction. So what does that mean? What do you see there? And what does distraction potentially mean? Is that even a thing too? Is that just bullshit?
Yeah, I mean, that I can only imagine that phrase landing so heavy in your gut if you hear your wife say this, because as a man, you'd be like, of course I want you to have the things that bring you joy. When a woman brings up the word, I don't want to do this with distraction, the way she's talking about this is really level one. But underneath that, there is a real struggle in the feminine to feel herself completely. So when she says, I want to do a hobby without distraction, she's saying, I want to be able to compartmentalize and do this without feeling the third entity, without feeling the space between us, without feeling my responsibility to it, without feeling my identity in it. I want to kind of close myself off into this cave and only get to feel what I want to feel.
So is that is it possible that she really wants to refocus on friends and work and doesn't actually want to leave the relationship necessarily? Is that even a possible thing?
That is a possible thing, but I think it speaks more to her inability to feel that it's okay for her to step away from the relationship space, focus on something else, and then come back and have it be in an intact space. And that could be entirely her lack of skill set. It is crazy if I even feel into my own brain how a woman's mind is wired to try to be on top of and connected to everything in her life all at the same time. So this is a lack of her own skill. It's a projection on you that she can't do this, but it also speaks a little bit to the space between the two of you where she's kind of felt maybe enmeshed. And now she's trying to ardently feel her own skin. And she's doing it in a hurtful way, in a way where she's trying to chop off a limb like a wolf caught in a trap, as if this is going to make her feel the freedom she's craving. And in the end, it doesn't. It's a simple in the moment experience, but not long-term for her.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's jump into the next one. Number 2, she's feeling suffocated. Either that's real or perceived. So what might that mean if a woman feels this way, but maybe doesn't even tell you? and whether that's real or perceived.
Yeah, that's very similar to the first one, where again, this is a lack of her own skill. When a woman's feeling suffocated, she's afraid of loss. So she could be afraid of losing herself, or she could be afraid of losing other people. So that suffocation is really a survival of her not feeling safe. And again, she doesn't want to experience that. So she's going to try to run away or blame someone else for her heightened anxiety, for feeling like she has too much pressure on her, for feeling like if she was her own woman, somehow she would lose the things that keep her safe.
So that could certainly be perception of being suffocated. What if she really does feel like she's being suffocated by, let me play the other side of the table for a minute, right? So the man's being needy, he's got pains going on in his life that he just comes home and dumps on her, expecting her to make him feel better, treating her like his mother in this kind of situation where she actually does feel suffocated. Yeah. Is that a thing? I mean, we've talked about that a lot, but is it a thing that she really wants to take space so that she actually can get some air from the suffocation, but still does want the relationship? Is that possible?
That is possible. And I think, again, if we talk about the feminine's inability to compartmentalize whatever the vibration of the emotion that's being shared, if it's from you or from the kids, she will feel that in her body and then take it wherever she goes. So that can feel like she has no escape from feeling the feelings of the system. And then again, we'll take actions to try to feel free in that moment, or place blame.
Yeah. And in an emotional way to feel free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Let's keep going. Number 3. Again, some combination of these words I saw out there many, many times. She may be unsure about her feelings, so space for self-reflection. Okay. So she's unsure about her feelings about the relationship. So she, in this number 3, actually wants space for self-reflection. Mm-hmm. Like that's actually what she's going to use space for. And I want to ask you about this, and then I have a follow-up too. So is it possible that she actually intends to take this space for self-reflection? And can she, if she's away from the relationship, actually have the type of self-reflection to make her feelings more clear so she can be more sure?
Yeah, and I think she needs space because, let's say, her feeling herself, her feeling you, her feeling anger, she's kind of locked it somewhere in her body. And so there's somewhere in her body that's tightened and really almost creates a ceiling against her being able to really feel herself. Am I feeling really sad in this moment? Am I feeling embarrassed? Am I feeling scared? And so, yes, can space help? Sure. There's women, level 3 women, who are really practiced at wanting to be present and connected with their partner, with their husband, and they will go away just to, how can I feel myself again so I can be that person in partnership? And I do see women honestly wanting to get space and then not having the skills to do so. And they think self-reflection is, if I just think about it, I'll figure out. And that's just a no game, because what she's really needing to do is feel what's going inside, unlock the ceilings, unlock the intertwinings of different emotions, and then be able to feel one at a time.
So if she doesn't have the skill for that, she's not even aware of that, let's say, what might happen when she goes away and she does all this thinking?
Yeah, like, that's so tricky, because I even can feel into it. It's fun. It can be fun to think about things. And a woman can get really stuck in ruminating. And that's because it isn't connecting to what's really underneath, and get really almost addicted to resentment. So sometimes the mind trap is, I'm stuck in ruminating and resentment. And then that gives me someone to blame for how I'm feeling. And I want to take action so I don't have to feel this discomfort anymore.
So say again for us, what is she wanting? What is she wanting to feel? If she really does want space for self-reflection, if she really is feeling suffocated, if she really wants to refocus herself, if she really does still potentially want the relationship, what is she wanting to feel by taking this space? You talked about freedom. What else? What is she really expecting to want to feel through this?
It's so if we talk about women feeling things in layers or emotions getting intertwined, if I give her the benefit of the doubt, if I really tap into her deep need for this, she's needing space so she can take like this, what I'm feeling here, maybe this isn't mine and I'm going to put it on the table. Or this anger that's so overwhelming in my chest, like, do I feel something a little bit deeper beneath that? Some pain or sorrow I have, which is more cool to feel than anger. She's wanting to be able to take each of those things and put them out on the table and feel more smooth on the inside instead of a jumble, a cloud of intertwining experience and relationship dynamics.
So considering what we teach, and we only have so much time on this particular call, right? How can a man best offer her, and this is going to be a complicated question, but how can a man best offer her that space to piece these apart and feel them separate from the third entity of the relationship, right? Assuming that she knows how to do that, or that she is taking steps to do that, maybe she's automatically feeling different things when she's not in the relationship. What can a man do? What are some top things that he can do to help facilitate that?
It's a great question. And I do understand as I say these out loud, it must come across as like, well, then what? Like, I can't reach inside of her and unhook these for her. Even your perception and your groundedness and your awareness of what my wife is showing me is a bundle of conflicting things, of emotions layered in, that's very overwhelming to her. When she like goes for space, keeping in the mindset that that's essentially the core of what she's looking for, but even inviting in the moment or on her return, hey, you know, what's one thing that you're feeling right now? Is there one thing you want to share with me about this? Kind of using that singular, let's take one drop of water out of your very full bucket and place it in these hands, can help her start to unravel the storm inside herself.
Yeah, good. That's well said. So again, let me play the other side of the table. What if she's not wanting to talk about anything? What if that feels like pressure to her? What if asking her a question like that, asking her to share her feelings, she says, that's pressure. I told you not to pressure me. Back off. What do you think a woman's going through in that space? And with that said, that's a good segue to the fourth one here. Some combination of she's losing interest in the relationship and just doesn't want to be harsh about it, or she feels guilt and or she's already done. And so all of this space is like prelude to being done, whether she's fully consciously aware of it or not. So if she's saying, you know, don't ask me any questions, like anything you talk, any kind of talking to me is pressure, in your opinion, your professional opinion, where is she within maybe these four? Or where is she in this process, would you say? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, so I mean, pressure makes me think of like air pressure when a storm's coming and how intense that can feel. Pressure is overwhelm. Pressure is her living in a soup of different feelings. If she's like lost interest and already done, there's, and we as human beings, we do this. She's put this feeling of like, I feel so much pressure, so much overwhelm. And I've decided in my mind that if this happens, if I get to escape this relationship, I won't feel this anymore. And so, yeah, any of us who are thinking that we've found the solution to an internal awful feeling, we're going to hold like with fingernails onto what we think the solution's going to be. And that doesn't give the perfect answer, but I would say if she's hell-bent on separation, will give her relief. I do agree that's a tough road for her, and still knowing that what is she trying to escape? It's not you, it's not the situation, it's a combination of feelings inside. And there's always hope there. There's always can be an evolution for her out of that.
Yeah, that's very well said. That we all are attempting to escape a feeling inside when we think we have a solution for something, whether large or small. Yeah, Josh, please come on in. And I want you guys to ask questions now, please. Josh.
So kind of like what's going on with me as of the last 2 weeks is a lot of my wife saying she doesn't want to be close, but then she is still doing things with me, opening up to me, falling asleep on my lap and cuddling on the couch, watching TV. But at the same time, she's like, I don't want to be close. I wish to not be close. And then I'm thinking in my head, like, what the fuck? We're doing these things that inevitably will bring us close. And you're saying you don't want to be close. So, I'm like, what's going on? She's still saying she wants her space. I'm honoring her space. Like last night, I had a side job and I borrowed some tools and I was like, hey, I'm going to go do this real quick and bring the tools back. And she kind of like rolled her eyes and was like, you don't need to bring the tools back. Bring them back in the morning. You're always here. I'm like, okay, I'll bring them back in the morning. And then I finished the job and I texted her, hey, I'm all done. I made a quick $100. She was like, you know what? Why don't you come by and you can tuck the kids in? I was like, that's weird. Like, what the hell? And then she was like, but I set a boundary right now and I really don't want any physical affection. And I said, okay, that's fine. So it was just strictly the kids. And I said bye. And I didn't even hug her. I just said bye and I left. And it just has me in this. I'm in an emotional storm right now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know what to think. And we have counseling today too. And I'm just super nervous because I have no idea what's going to happen. And yeah, that's my story.
Sure. So go ahead and please talk about, what her point of view might be or her mindset might be, and then we'll dive in a little bit more.
Yeah, and Josh, it feels like this tug of war I imagine you on. And it almost could feel like as soon as you drop the rope, she's like, oh, wait, he's dropped the rope. I feel drawn to put my head on his lap. I think you might go back to that. This is like the buffet table of what you as this incredible man offer a woman in his life. And she is loving how the warmth feels in her body when she gets to lie on you, when she gets to have that physical, chemical connection. And yet when there's the idea that might lead to, oh, I have to feel an emotion about this or feel something from the past or commit to this is going to be us forever and ever, her pressure level rises. And so she's kind of pushing away some of the other dishes on the buffet table. And that doesn't feel fair to you. And yet I can feel that she's doing the things that make her feel like I'm okay, I'm free, there's no pressure. And then as soon as there's a little bit of pressure, she's going to make it about you and something you're doing to make her feel stressed or overwhelmed.
Yeah, like when she said, you're always here. I'm like, what do you mean? I dropped the kids off. I may be there 20 minutes.
Sure. So if you were to say to her, what do you mean by that? Will she open that to you? Will she talk about it?
Yeah, if I get her in the right mood, I guess, to where she wants to express. Because when I left, I asked her, what was that face about? And she goes, well, you're just always here and I need my space. So that's why I don't want you to drop the tool back off. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I can bring it in the morning. Not a big deal. And then she even said, it might not be a big deal, like overall, like big picture. This is not really a big deal, but it means something to me. And so I just honored that.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's switch gears for a second. Let me ask about you.
Yeah.
So what do you want now during this time? What would you like to see happen in counseling? Let's say, what do you want?
I actually just spoke to the counselor like 20 something minutes ago. I would like her to, I'd like to start off with naming things that we appreciate about each other that's been happening since the separation. And then maybe we can go into our bitches and moans or whatever you want to call them.
I mean, is therapy just to bitch and moan, or what do you think the point of therapy is?
I think it's more for her, right? Because then she has her safe place to where she can express herself openly and freely, without judgment. Like even if she does it by herself, to me, I try my best not to judge or fix anything in the moment. But then when we do go to counseling, there's that third party, unbiased opinion to where they can be like, that doesn't make sense. They can put their opinion in there, because I did mention all those things about how we're spending time together and we're doing all these things, but she doesn't want to be close. And my counselor was like, yeah, those things are going to make you close. And she just doesn't know that. So just keep quiet, he said, because, you don't want to, he's like, you don't want to spook her. And then you're going to not spend time with her, essentially.
Sure. Okay. I mean, I can see that point of view, certainly. And your heart desires to spend time with her. You desire to connect with her. You'd love to have the opportunity for her to open up to you and for her to see the
Yes,
changes
sir.
of the man that you, right? All of these things. And I'm wondering, let me just say this bluntly. What standards do you have for your time with her? In other words, can she just choose from the buffet anytime she wants? If she says jump, you say how high? Or what do you want with your time with her? Let me give you an example. So if I'm going to spend time with a woman and she's going to put her head on my lap, okay, that is an intimate moment. That's an intimate
Of course.
advance. It's an intimate connection. At least to me, it is. And I only want one particular woman at a time. Now, when I was dating, of course, that's different. But if I'm going to be in a relationship with someone and not go see other girls, and this woman that I'm, spending this time with is going to do intimate acts with me, like putting her head on my lap, okay, that to me is signaling that there's more there, that we want to share more there, that we're open to, let's
Of
say,
course.
learning and healing. Yeah. Right. But I'm not interested in hanging out with a woman as friends who's going to choose and pick and put her head on her lap whenever she wants, let's say, and then, I don't know, blame or shame me for seeing that as an intimate advance. Like, I'm not interested really in putting myself repeatedly into that situation. And so I might say, I might ask a what or a how question in therapy. We talked about this, right? What or how questions. So when you put your head on my lap, how would you like for me to see that? How are you expecting me for me to see that? Like these kind of questions where if I'm you, I'd like to understand. I'd like her to say more deeply what it is that she's wanting in those moments. She may not be aware of it, or she might not want to answer the question, but that's what I'd be curious about.
In the past, maybe around April-ish timeframe, we had cuddled a lot more during that month, watching TV and just hanging out. And I asked her, so why do you want to cuddle with me all of a sudden? And then she just told me, because I want to.
Sure. So that's not
Yeah.
a why. That's a why question. That's not a what or a how question, right? So how do
Right.
you feel when we cuddle? What are you hoping to feel within your body when we cuddle? Those are what questions or how questions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll
So
keep that in the back of my mind.
yeah, that's what I would focus on in therapy. And you're right. Therapy is for her, the woman, to feel safe, to express herself in lots of ways. It's not
Yeah.
for us to do the same. Even that's not how it works. And it's for us to like turn and focus on her, not to focus on the counselor, but to turn and focus on her as he or she, the counselor, asks great questions or does more deep analysis, as Aaron put into the chat there. Right. But for you to be there present and asking great questions like what or how questions. Let me ask Cynthia about that. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate you jumping in. So how did that come across? You may totally disagree with what I said. How does that feel in Josh's spot, including what are my standards as far as when she comes on to him, what he's wanting and willing to do in those moments, or what he's wanting in that relationship in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, Josh, when you shared, I guess it was a like why question, like why do you want to put your head on my lap? And she just said, because I want to. I actually had this like very kind of like sickening feeling in my stomach, like, oh, that feels like her setting parameters around you of love. Well, she's just going to go with what feels good to her. Whereas when you talk about what you want, how you want to lead, and really choosing those moments carefully as it fulfills you as a man, her husband, your grounding, that feels like there's a container of space you're holding around her for her growth and development. And it's not it's holding space and boundary for the feminine that can be very much in the desire of the moment of, I want ice cream, I'm going to eat ice cream now. I want chocolate, I'm going to eat chocolate now. Which in the end, a lot of women do that and then end up regretting. And you're having more of the foresight of, this isn't just about immediate gratification. This is about how this aligns the values, the structure of relationship, and how you, as this incredible man, want to lead this partnership forward, not just in this moment, but in the future.
Yeah, it's very well said. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I do feel like once she gets close and she's like realizes, oh, I got a little close. Now I have to stiff arm him and, keep him back so I can feel safe within myself because I don't trust him yet. So that's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah. And we're to the point, and again, we could talk about this more offline off of this call or on another call. You're getting to the point in this process where I wouldn't be okay with the stiff arm. Like, she might stiff arm you, right? And that doesn't mean you throw a fit about it. But then when you're in counseling, let's say the next time, you might say, if you're going to put your head on my lap, what that means to me is that you want to step forward into relationship with me, that you want to open yourself to me, that you want to open your heart and your soul and your energy to me. Like, that's what that means to me. And that's what I would want. That's what I would want to be moving forward toward now. What has it been? 8 months, I think, that you've been separated, you said?
At the end of this month, it'll be 7.
Okay. So over 6 months at this point. And so that's what I would be asking myself if I were you is, well, what do I want? And what am I asking for? What's reasonable that I'm asking for? And if she doesn't want to meet you with something reasonable, like, what does that mean? That's another painful question then thereafter. Thanks for getting this going, Josh. Appreciate it. As we have about 10 more minutes left on this call, saw a bunch of you come in. Let's do this. Who has heard any variation of what you've seen on the screen here? She wants time to take care of herself. She feels suffocated, whether that's real or not. She may be unsure about her feelings, so she wants space for self-reflection, or she's losing interest or potentially done. But punch a 1 into the chat if you've heard any combination of any of this. Probably every guy here has heard some kind of combination of this. I know I've heard that. Yeah, punch a 1 into the chat if you've heard any combination of this. So who has a question? I saw Aaron. Aaron's got his video on. Good to see you, buddy. Earl's here too. Chris, Andy. Who has a question? Tim came in. Brad's here. Unmute yourself. Coming in.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, Brad. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. I have a question. My wife, we tried a separation for a while, but then she made it clear that I guess it was we were doing every other week, and then she's like, no, I want a divorce. But she has recently been talking about how that's going to look, and we're going to be in the same house with the kids for the kids' sake. And it seems like she still imagines some sort of friendship and cohabitation after a divorce, while at the same time she's saying things like, I need a place that is just my own. So she wants to sleep in the bedroom where I can't ever go in, and she's kind of blocking off and putting up all these boundaries. And I've listened to a lot of these things. I've tried a lot of the tools, and what I don't understand is, how do you know when it's like, it's not even like when it's actually done? Like it doesn't seem like she's done. It's like she's confused. Like, she says she's confused. And to make things even more complicated, she was in a car accident about 4 years ago, and she is almost deaf now. And so there's all this trauma that we've been working through the years. And then now she's telling me our relationship was completely like an emotionally abusive and horrible lie. And it's like I'm this horrible person. And it's just complete anger, and everything is at me. And if I say or do anything, it makes it worse. And I have no idea how to give her space. I have no idea. It's almost like if I'm out of the picture, but I'm just there to co-parent, she's okay with that. And I don't know how to address that.
Yeah. So first of all, Brett, thank you. It's incredibly painful. I've been in a spot where I was accused of emotional abuse and this kind of thing. And I was absolutely, shocked that the person could think this, whether that's true or not. But for them to, for her to look at me in the face and fully believe that, someone that I cared about, it's like incredibly painful. What you're saying actually reminds me, and I don't mean to say this in a flippant way at all. Speaking with a man yesterday whose mother now, is in full swing dementia. and she speaks to him like she doesn't know him, completely different way. She actually called the police on him and his brother, her two sons, because she's kind of feels like she's out of her mind. And when you're describing this, it feels like that's what you're describing. So with that said, if you saw this as a pain that she's going through, like potentially a disease, and I don't want to straw man this here, Brad, but let's go at this like if she had cancer, let's say, you would see this in a different way. The hope would be that she would still love you and connect with you, though, if she had some kind of illness. And this is the worst of all worlds, it feels like. That's kind of where you are. Like, what the hell? How could she even think this? Okay. So your question, and we only have so much time today, and I'm happy to talk more. Cynthia and I are happy to talk more with you, Brad. So what would you say is the real edge question for you right now? Like, okay, yeah, please.
How do I interact with her so I feel like we're okay? So she feels okay, because I mean, we have 4 kids together, but it seems anytime I'm around, I'm causing more problems, more damage, and I just don't know how to do it. I don't know if there's anything I can do.
Well, we'll go to Cynthia here in 1 second. And you know that you can't make her feel okay, right? You can't make her feel one way or the other. You can influence it, and that's what you're asking, but you can't make her feel okay. So there is no perfection. There's no perfect. Yeah, please. What comes to mind?
Yeah, I was wondering if I could ask, you said I just can't even be around her without her being upset. Would you say that this is just daily tasks? Is there particular situations where she seems more stressed out in your presence than others?
So right now, I'm living in the home. She stays at her parents at night, but she has a week. And so I just stay out of the house until she puts the kids to bed. And so our interactions are weekends. Anytime the kids are, we coordinate kid stuff. So those are the limited interactions we have. And she is so angry, and it just seems to get worse the more that we have those.
This is going to seem like a really strange thing to say, but I almost see as progress and a good thing that her, whatever the emotion is getting like bigger, that she's feeling safe in the space to express more. And I know that doesn't solve the issue, but I just wanted to affirm and honor you that yes, there are times you're going to need to interact, and her having bigger emotion is something that it is a good thing, even though it seems stressful, even though it seems to make her more and more unhappy. I would want that more, instead of her getting quieter and quieter and more shut down and more shut down. Emotion is almost her opening more than shutting down more. And I'm wondering how that hits you or resonates at all.
I think there's times when she doesn't. It feels like a berating, right? And I let her do it. We were doing therapy, and they said that pain has to come out, but it is hard to take sometimes. And so I say, hey, I think my cup's full. I need to take a break, right? But then there's moments when she won't talk to me. She ignores me. She just gives me that look. Her body language is just like she's disgusted by me. And she's accused me of interfering with her kids or trying to make her look like a bad mom. Like it's crazy. It's a different person. I don't know who it is. And it just happened very quickly and very suddenly. I mean, I've seen this progress, but this extreme just happened overnight. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Well, again, the first thing I want to say is you're in the right place. You need guys and other people around you that can see it from your point of view, that can resonate with you, see you in high regard, right? That you can talk to about these things. So you're in the right place. The homework question I would suppose I'd ask you, and again, I don't mean this flippantly, but for you to get your mind around in a little bit different way, is what if she actually had a disease? What if this actually was dementia? Right? There'd be a point when you'd want to be around her, and there'd be a point when you're realizing, I don't want to be around this. There'd be a point when you're realizing that being around her just more isn't necessarily helping. And that's what you're saying out loud here. Even if it's incredibly painful with the kids and things like this, it's, well, what would you then want to do? We always, to kind of put a period on the end of this at the moment for your homework, Brad, or anyone facing a similar situation, is what's going to help me feel in charge of my own emotional self? What's going to help me feel self-reliant? What's going to help me feel like I'm actually taking positive action in the world? That may have something to do with her. It may not. It may have something to do with your children. It may not. Often it's that we've leaned on her with love and intentfully in a healthy way, but we've leaned on her to make us feel okay about ourselves in some way, that we're now really feeling the lack of her support. And again, this is much deeper, and we could talk much more about this, Brad, but you're doing the right things. You know?
Okay, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So keep joining us on these calls. Are you on our forum? I'll actually put a link right here for anyone that's watching this. You can go to greatmenmovemountains.com/ actually, it's not on here, /Facebook, greatmenmovemountains.com/Facebook. And then you can get into our free private Facebook group where you can reach out to us and ask questions, certainly there. Absolutely, guys. So Brad, thanks for opening yourself. Josh, appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you guys